In this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, I am live from the West Lawn of the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. for the National Memorial Day Concert 2024 on PBS. I talk with Joe Mantegna, Gary Sinise, Bryan Cranston, BD Wong, Ruthie Ann Miles, and more. Let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. I, of course, am Kyle McMahon, and I am once again live from the West Lawn of the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C., here at rehearsals for the National Memorial Day Concert. It's always an incredible concert that they put on, Capitol Concerts puts on each year, that is truly a tribute to the men and women who have given the ultimate sacrifice for us, for us to enjoy the freedoms that we do. And by the way, for military and veterans in crisis, help is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. All you have to do is dial 988 and then press 1, or you can send a text message to 838-255. And there is resources, mental health resources, all kinds of resources for you. Additionally, you can support them by volunteering if you'd like to do so. The National Memorial Day Concert, as always, airs live on PBS Sunday, May 26th, night before Memorial Day, and it airs live on PBS at 8 p.m. Eastern. Check your local listings and times. It also streams live on Facebook and YouTube, and it's available on the PBS app as well. And if you happen to miss it on Sunday night, you can watch it for the next 2 weeks on all of those as well. So we're going to hop right into our interviews. We've got a action-packed lineup of great talent to talk with today. First up is our host, the host for the National Memorial Day Concert, Gary Sinise and Joe Mantegna. So, National Memorial Day Concert, once again, I am here with the amazing Joe Mantegna and Gary Sinise. For you, Joe, this is, I believe, your 20th year. Gary, 16th, something like that. Every year, you continue to come back and do it every single year. Why is that so important to both of you?
Joe's the one who got me involved in it back in 2005, which I didn't know anything about the National Memorial Day Concert, and I think when he found out about it a few years before, he didn't know anything about it either, but it had been going on for, 10 years before that. So when I came and, I flew in from Europe where I was doing a USO tour with my band, and we brought my band, we got up on that stage, and I'm looking out at this, and thousands of people everywhere, very moving segments in every show. But that show, I'll never forget that first one for sure. And then the following year, Joe asked me to come back and co-host it with him. And I couldn't pass that up. It was so moving the first year I did it, and now now we're hooked. I think.
And how about for you? What makes you come back?
Exactly. Well, Gary pretty much sums it up. Once you do it, it's hard not to come back. It's not hard to participate. This is in my mind the most important holiday we celebrate in this country because it allows us to have all those other holidays. And so I remember when I knew instantly that Gary needed to be a part of this because of all he does for our military with his foundation and all. I remember when I called him when he was in Europe at that time, asking him if he wanted to come in with his band for that first year. And I asked him, I said, Gary, what's the biggest crowds you kind of entertain out there on these tours? He goes, we get a lot of people here, Joe. We get maybe something like 15, 20,000 people show. I said, well, strap on your stirrups. I said, you're going to see that this is going to be a little different. And when he showed up, and I think we had something like 200,000 people that Memorial Day. And then I saw it on his face after he came off the stage, and just knowing what Memorial Day meant to him as well, that I knew that was it, that he and I'd be lockstep together on this thing from that point on. And I'm blessed to be able to say that's true.
Love that, and both of you do it so beautifully every year. It's such a moving tribute. I come from a military family. Myself, my dad, who was in the Navy for 30 years, looks forward to it every year, telling the stories and seeing the kind of love from everybody that you can tell. Everybody from top to bottom doing the production is doing this with a passion for, in honor of those that we've lost. And it's a special time to take out of, to be able to put on a production like this and give the men and women, the tribute that they deserve. It's so beautiful as a viewer to watch, and so thank you both for doing that. And finally, what does Memorial Day mean to both of you? I think sometimes, in my opinion, a lot gets lost in translation. People talk about it's the kickoff to the summer and that sort of thing. What does it really mean for you?
It's a difficult day. For many people, many families, it's a very difficult day because they live Memorial Day every single day. These families of our fallen heroes. My foundation has many programs supporting these families. We have thousands of families in our database that we support, and it's a tough time for them. And at the Gary Sinise Foundation, we try to make sure that we support them in their Memorial Days throughout the year. And so it can be a tough time, but it's a special way for the nation to recognize that a price has been paid. There's a cost for what we enjoy here in this country, this free lifestyle that we have, this freedom to do as we please and to work hard and to succeed and all of that. And we wouldn't have all of that if we didn't have freedom, and we wouldn't have freedom if we didn't have freedom providers and people that are willing to go out there and sacrifice for it. So it's a special day, I think, for us to recognize that and to celebrate those who have given their lives in service to our country.
Absolutely. And how about for you, Joe?
Well, I think Gary really summed it up, and I think that last thing he said, for me, really sums it up in the sense that very often people will say, hey, have a happy Memorial Day. But, for many people, it's not necessarily a time of happiness. So to me, probably the most correct thing to think about it is celebrate Memorial Day, by that meaning celebrate the lives of those who came before us, and continually to today and tomorrow and from this point on, sometimes make the ultimate sacrifice so we can live the life we live in this country. So that's why Memorial Day is such an important holiday. So I encourage everybody to get 90 minutes, watch the show. This will help you understand that, and go ahead and celebrate Memorial Day, but celebrate what this holiday is really all about.
Yes, sir. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Two incredible actors who give selflessly to the cause of honoring our men and women that we've lost in the armed forces. Every year they're here, and obviously Gary Sinise, he is the Gary Sinise Foundation, which is just absolutely incredible. So I thank those two gentlemen, as always, for speaking with me. Next up is Ruthie Ann Miles, Tony Award winner, Outer Critics Circle Award winner. She won a Tony Award, by the way, for Best Featured Actress in a Musical for The King and I. She has an incredible voice, and I am happy once again to talk with her. Let's talk with Ruthie Ann Miles.
All right, National Memorial Day concert. You were in rehearsals. You just did two beautiful songs, but the one that really got my heart, and please correct me if but Aloha Oe. First of all, your rendition is absolutely gorgeous, but what does that mean? What does that song mean in the context of the National Memorial Day concert?
Well, the song is, it's really meaningful to the people in Hawaii because it was written by our queen, Liliuokalani, and she was watching two lovers say goodbye. It was a forever goodbye, and so even though it's written from the perspective of two lovers, it was also a love song to the now state of Hawaii, to the country of the kingdom. And as we know, she was imprisoned in her home until her death, and so it's especially meaningful for people from Hawaii who know the backstory of the song, who understand the lyric, knowing that it's a goodbye song, and to sing that on Memorial Day when we are honoring those, very many of those who we said goodbye to. Really meaningful.
Yeah, it is. Especially knowing the context. Thank you for educating me on that. Especially knowing the context of how that song was written, I had no idea, and that brings such an even deeper layer to it. And as you said, then in the context of National Memorial Day concert, it's incredibly moving. You had said in rehearsals, it's harder than I thought it would be to do this song. Is that, now you're here at the Capitol, we're honoring the brave men and women who we have lost fighting for our, the freedoms that we enjoy. Especially now that you've given me the background of the song, I guess it hit you at that moment. Is that? It
did, yeah, it did. Especially, there's a point in this song where we do a translation of the second verse, just a short, almost half of the translation of the second verse, and later it says, "And my dearest one, I'm saying to you," and we cut to the chorus, "Aloha Oe, goodbye. I'm saying farewell to you," and it's personal. It feels very, very personal, and yet it also feels unifying in that it's all of us. It's all of us as a country, those who we lost 50 years ago, who we will lose in the future. It's really sobering and really touching. Yeah, and I didn't realize it was going to be as hard as it was to sing Aloha Oe, which I grew up knowing and singing, and and you hear it on all the covers of who have done with a beer, you hear the slide guitar, and
right.
And it's you can say it as like, yeah, see you later, bye, but that's not the heart of the song. So as I was speaking the words and translating it, I was especially moved, and then I realized, this is actually going to hit me at my core, and I'm going to have to work really hard to keep myself together in front of the nation.
Well, you did an incredible job. I know that you're going to do another incredible job. It really is beautiful, and it's such I as somebody that loves music, it's such, I think that is kind of the centerpiece of the show for me, is that song and your rendition of it. And thank you for talking with me. Thank you for giving us the background.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ruthie Ann Miles, such a incredible voice and such a light. Love her. Right, moving right along, BD Wong, he's like, I think, the hardest working man in showbiz. This man does so much. Where do you even start? Of course, The X-Files, which was, as you know, is my favorite show ever. He was in an episode of that. He's been in the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World films as Dr. Henry Wu. The Monkey King, he played Buddha. Oz, he was Father Ray Makata, which that was such a good show, and he was so good in it. Law & Order Special Victims Unit, Mr. Robot, Professor Hugo Strange in Gotham, American Horror Story Apocalypse as Baldwin Pennypacker, Awkwafina is Nora from Queens, where he played Wally, and Gremlins Secrets of the Mogwai, Han Wing. So I am excited to talk with BD Wong.
So I am here with the incredible BD Wong, National Memorial Day concert, Washington, D.C. We're in rehearsals in front of the U.S. Capitol. What does this moment mean for you? You're telling a powerful story for the show. What does that moment mean for you?
What it means is kind of like, for me, helping people to understand what Memorial Day really is, right? It's not all sunshine and barbecues. It is understanding the value of the people who serve our country and who have volunteered to serve and who have enlisted and who have trained themselves and who are working every day to defend the values of democracy which I think is a big conversation we're having right now. And I really appreciate them doing that, and I want to be a part of honoring them and making them feel seen. And, there are many Gold Star families in attendance at this thing. So it's super powerful. It's very emotional, and it's very moving, and it feels important. It feels like, wow, this is a conversation we actually need to be having, that people, younger people, older people, recognize and take a second to remember. To really remember. That's what Memorial Day is, remembering. But to really remember. Remember what it's really, what Memorial Day is.
Yes, there's. It's not about a kickoff to the summer or a mattress sale or whatever. It's about the stories and remembering those stories of the people. For me, anyway, for the people that have given their lives for you and me to do this here.
Yes, and these stories are they're beautifully selected, and the people that are being honored and recognized are so well-deserving and so full of feelings that you just have to tune in, because you cannot see anything like this anywhere else, actually. The conceit of this concert, where we relay stories in the first person and actors like myself do it, and then the people are really there to receive that gift of that, is incredible.
It's a powerful moment, and I love that you are telling those stories so they continue on and they're never forgotten.
That's right. That's what being a human being is all about, actually, storytelling and passing on stories to generations and people to come.
Yes, and on just a different note for a moment, you have been awarded with everything. I think you're the hardest working man in showbiz, but, and Oz and everything that you've done. The X-Files is my favorite show ever.
Really?
It is, and you were on, you played a detective, I can't, I'm totally drawing a blank.
I don't know if I can remember his name.
Really?
Chen? No?
Sal?
This is terrible.
Yeah.
We're not going to be using this part.
No.
We can't remember.
But what was that experience for you? I got to ask you.
It's a very memorable experience. It was a very wonderful, but it was my brother's favorite show. This was the only time I ever dragged my brother to a shoot with me in Vancouver, and we had the best time, just the two of us. It was the only time I've ever spent with my brother alone, actually. And it was very special. And then I also got them to make him an extra in the scene. So if you freeze frame at just the right moment, you can see my brother in this apothecary scene in that episode of the X-Files. And so we just had a blast with that.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you have a bunch of projects coming up, Nora, and another season of Magwai, right?
Yes. Well, Nora has come to a close, and that's wonderful, and is airing, and you can see it streaming now. And I'm doing a play in New York. I've been doing a lot of plays, actually, which has been very satisfying to me. It's kind of a return to what I love about acting. And so I'm doing a play in New York, and that means I can sleep in my own bed, and that's really, really great for me. And to do some really meaty material that's very challenging and wonderful, and the audience really responds to, I like that too. It's very similar to what we're doing here today, which is passing on stories, and the play that I'm doing has a lot of reminiscing in it, and so there's a lot of that retelling emotional stories that's very similar to what we're doing here today.
I love that. I've as much as I've gone to New York, I've never actually seen a show. So I'm going to come and see it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
BD Wong, Tony Award winner, Primetime Emmy Award nominee, just an awesome, awesome actor and awesome guy. Finally, we have the one and only Bryan Cranston, who, of course, portrayed Hal in Malcolm in the Middle. He, too, was in the X-Files in an episode called Drive, which, I'm going to ask him about that. Little Miss Sunshine. Oh, that little show you may have heard of, Breaking Bad. His current series on Netflix, Your Honor. And he's got some interesting films coming up, which I'm looking forward to. So let's talk to the one and only Bryan Cranston.
I am here, National Memorial Day concert. I'm here with the one and only Bryan Cranston. You are telling a very poignant story that, obviously holds meaning for during Memorial Day. What does it mean for you to tell that story here in Washington, D.C. On Memorial Day weekend?
It's a story by a young enlisted man from Wisconsin named Jack Moran, who actually turns 99 very soon. And the interesting thing that I found in this story is that it's not unique. There were hundreds of thousands of Jack Morans who were going into this wide-eyed, maybe too innocent, and realizing that this is very serious business that they're involved with. And they literally saved the world. So I'm honored to be here, to be able to tell his story in a way. And in front of him, he doesn't know I'm here. I don't even know if he knows who I am, but it doesn't matter. I know who he is now.
Yeah, and you have, I believe both of your parents were military, correct? You come from a military family.
Yeah.
So what, for you growing up and today, what has Memorial Day meant for your family and you today?
Well, when I was a kid, the question among other kids was, what service was your father in? That was the question, because every kid's father was basically in a branch of the military. Now it's an unusual question. Yeah. Kids wouldn't ask that. But that's the greatest generation. My father was training to be a pilot during World War II, and my mother joined the Coast Guard after the war.
Okay.
And but she said it was the 3 years of the best years of her life. Yeah. And my uncles were both in, and my cousin was in. I mean, it was a very common thing to serve, and so I'm very proud of that.
I love that, and and thank you, and thank your family, for your service and sacrifice. I come from my father just retired from the Navy after 30 years, so it's you know how that goes, and so thank you for that. Sure. And I got to ask, of course, Breaking Bad and Hal, Malcolm in the Middle, but I think my favorite role of yours was in the X-Files, one of my favorite shows ever, episode called Drive. Was that obviously you've had a long and illustrious career, but was that a turning point for you in your career? Because I believe Vince Gilligan was the one who kind of, right?
He wrote that episode. To me, at the time, it was just a job. I had never seen X-Files. I wasn't much of a television watcher then, when you're busy trying to make your way and make a living. But it was just a job then. And then 10 years after that, he called me in because he remembered me from that episode and became the champion for me to get the role of Walter White in Breaking Bad.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. You have a new film coming out soon, right?
Well, let's see. What do I got? I have a couple things happening. We also have my show, Your Honor, is coming out soon on Netflix, so we're excited about that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bryan. It is a pleasure to watch you tell their stories Memorial Day. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bryan Cranston, what an incredible lineup of performers, not just for this show, but for the National Memorial Day concert, Sunday, May 26, 8 p.m. on PBS. Check your local listings if there's a time difference. Again, you can watch the National Memorial Day concert live on PBS, Facebook, and YouTube, or on the free PBS app. And if you don't catch it on the 26th, for 2 weeks after, you're able to enjoy the show. And I've got to tell you, I've been in rehearsals all day. It's a really, really powerful way to honor our brave men and women of our armed forces that gave everything for us. Additionally, Jamie Johnson, who I talked to in the last episode, he's performing, and Cynthia Erivo, who I talked to her, last year, and I saw her performance in rehearsals, another just incredible performance. So I love you. I will see you next week. We out.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
Oh, speak, can you see by the dawn's so proudly we hailed at the twilight